Hello, introduction time. So, with the subject matter of these stories, you've got To Kill a Mockingbird and its prequel/sequel, Set A Watchman. You will find that I don't talk much about the plot of To Kill a Mockingbird that much, mainly because the original draft, which became Set A Watchman, really sees a 180 on the character of Atticus. And so I do talk a little bit more about that and Jean Louise, Scout, as an adult, coming back to Macon and not understanding how her memories of her father became the father that she's come back to. So yeah, you'll find me talking more about Scout's relationship with her father and Scout's evolvement from the events of To Kill a Mockingbird to Set A Watchman. But don't worry, I will be talking more in depth about the actual story of To Kill a Mockingbird when I look at book versus play. I have seen the show twice now as I edit this, and I'm very much looking forward to getting my grubby hands on a programme and going through the play with you. P.S. I absolutely love the play. I hope you enjoy this video.
When you're tired of the everyday, oh, when you're tired of my voice, when you tell me you walk out that door, that's when I know that you'll stay home. Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. If you have not been here before, my name is Debbie and I read a lot of books. If I'm a bit singy today, I just had a singing lesson and I'm feeling good about myself, so if I randomly start singing, apologies. Today's books, I wasn't sure if I wanted to do these as a series Sunday or not, but it feels like it makes the most sense. You'll understand why in a second. So I listened to the audiobooks of To Kill a Mockingbird and Set A Watchman by Harper. It's a shame she didn't really write much more because she didn't like the attention, because they're fantastic books. I've never read To Kill a Mockingbird before, but we've got the play coming to the Leeds Playhouse, which it might even be on at the time you're watching this, because I'm a little bit ahead of myself in regards to making videos and reading books. But yeah, I'm quite excited for the play, and so yeah, I thought it was worth reading it before then. The audiobook of To Kill a Mockingbird is read by Sissy Spacek, and the audiobook of Set A Watchman is read by Reese Witherspoon. So some pretty cool powerhouse people reading these books. Obviously I knew that To Kill a Mockingbird was what it was about pretty much, and that it was through the eyes of a child. But yeah, it's described as like coming of age, anti-racist, historical drama. For those who want it, here's the blurb. A lawyer's advice to his children as he defends the real Mockingbird, a black man charged with the rape of a white girl. Through the young eyes of Scout and Jem Finch, the conscience of a town steeped in prejudice, violence and hypocrisy is pricked by the stamina of one man's struggle for justice, but the weight of history will only tolerate so much. So it's 12 hours and 18 minutes listened to in classics, American and historical fiction. I mean, it is a bloody good book, isn't it? There's a reason it's become a classic. I understand why schools would not want their kids to read it, but at the same time, I feel like it's very important. And, you know, as somebody who wouldn't use language in this book, I can imagine it being quite difficult to use some of the language in this book. But at the same time, it's of a time when that language was a bit more accepted. They didn't know the power really behind the word. With time we have learnt. But yeah, it's really interesting, and as somebody who does love a good courtroom drama, or just anything to do with like lawyers and courtrooms and stuff, I've always been kind of fascinated by that. I mean, one of my favourite TV series to watch is Boston Legal. I know that was a spin-off of The Practice, but I actually watched Boston Legal first, and that was where I pretty much fell in love with James Spader. He already had my heart a little bit from some of the 80s films he's done, but that was when I fully fell in love with him as an adult. He's so ridiculous in that show, and I love the friendship between him and Bill Shatner's character in that, and I just need to rewatch it. It's so interesting seeing this court case through the eyes of a child, and I like that, to call it a twist.
on something like that. Yeah, I think it's just always so interesting to see these kind of things through the eyes of a child. But when it comes to like politics and segregation and things, it's just so important and it's still relevant. But the fact that parents don't want their kids to read it, maybe because of the language and things, and it's just like, I think kids are more resilient than you realise, and even though it's used very casually in the book, it doesn't take much to say, like, we don't use this language anymore, and reminding people of the history of the words, and reminding people of when it was set and when it was written, because I think, was To Kill a Mockingbird written in the 50s and set in like the 30s? Yeah, Deep South in the 30s. So, yeah, it's just interesting reading something like this. It won the Pulitzer Prize in 1961 for good reason, but yeah, it's interesting to see when I looked it up, because I haven't watched the film either, but seeing that Harper Lee really did not write anything else because of the attention she got when To Kill a Mockingbird came out. And if you're thinking, hang on a second, I thought we were talking about series or sequels. In 2014, 2015, a book called Set A Watchman was released by Harper Lee. It was released as a sequel, but it was actually the original draft of To Kill a Mockingbird. So as I listened to it, just like, wait, there are some parts of this that almost seem very similar, and almost kind of verbatim from To Kill a Mockingbird, and it's because it was the original draft. It was originally done as Scout, Jean Louise, 26, moved to New York and has come back, and then she's remembering her childhood. That was originally the plan for it, but then the older Scout got taken out of To Kill a Mockingbird, and you just see it through her eyes as a child. But through this, you see her as an adult, you see her looking back on her memories of her father as a child, because there was a bit of a reaction to Set A Watchman, because it changes what we all thought about her father, Atticus. Because in To Kill a Mockingbird, Atticus Finch is seen as this hero and somebody who was beyond his years in a way, like he was like somebody more modern, put in the wrong time, the way he defended black people. And the second one, Set A Watchman, also known as the first one because it was the original draft of it, shows more of a juxtaposition of a Scout returning home and the man that she left, her father, being a completely different person to the person that she remembered from when she was a child. Like, there's a big conversation, there's a big argument between Scout and her father, kind of in the last hour of the book, where she really has a go at him for not being the person he should have been, and how she was influenced by him, and how she wished that he did remarry after her mother died, and just how home for her wasn't really a home now that she can look back on it. Yeah, it's just so interesting, and I think this would be a really interesting one to study, to compare Set A Watchman to Kill a Mockingbird, because you're seeing it as kind of a sequel, but then you're also remembering that this is originally how it was written. It was originally written as the 26-year-old coming home and then looking back over her childhood and remembering everything, and realising that her father is not who she remembered him as, because she finds out that actually he may be racist, and he has completely different ideologies and opinions than she thought he had of the stuff that was instilled into her and how she observed things as a child. So yeah, I can understand it for people who are such big fans of To Kill a Mockingbird to read Set A Watchman and go, wait, this isn't the Atticus we know and love. And it's seeing Scout, seeing the grey in the black and white, and she doesn't realise she's seeing the grey in the black and white. And I must admit, in that conversation that she has with her father towards the end of the book, that argument where she's shouting at him and he's calmly addressing like his thoughts and beliefs and things, and it's just like, yes, I did want to punch Atticus as listening to that conversation being had. But there's a lot of people even today that agree with Atticus, which is disturbing, even though this was set in 50s probably by that point, if she's 26. But set against kind of like that southern mindset of segregation, and seeing that Atticus kind of agrees with segregation. It is really jarring to go from seeing Atticus in To Kill a Mockingbird and then seeing him in Go Set A Watchman. But also you're realising that this is a span of about 20 years. So you've gone from seeing him as a younger man, now seeing him as a more elderly man, and seeing how his opinions may have changed or shifted, or if they were there the whole time and you just didn't quite pick up on it. It would be interesting to actually reread To Kill a Mockingbird now that I've listened to Go Set A Watchman, and seeing if there's anything in there that indicates what he may have become into Go Set A Watchman, especially considering the fact that Harper Lee did write to Go Set A Watchman first. It was the original draft of the book. I did find that with Go Set A Watchman, I feel like Go Set A Watchman had some more slightly funnier moments. I haven't even read the blurb to you for Go Set A Watchman, so I'll do that now. Macomb, Alabama. 26-year-old Jean Louise Finch, Scout, returns home from New York City to visit her ageing father Atticus. Set against the backdrop of the civil rights tensions and political turmoil that were transforming the South, Jean Louise's homecoming turns bittersweet when she learns disturbing truths about her close-knit family, the town, and the people dearest to her. Memories from her childhood flood back and her values and assumptions are thrown into doubt. So it completely turns To Kill a Mockingbird on its head in regards to Scout. What happened as a child, her memories of a childhood, and how she now views her father compared to how she felt about him when she was younger. And it is an interesting relationship to have with a parent who does have different opinions and political beliefs to you, or as you get older, realising that you're seeing your parents' political ideas change, which again is a very current thing, especially in the wave of a lot of conversations that are happening at the moment in regards to American politics, British politics, just everywhere. You know, it's not just America and Britain having these conversations at the moment. It is everywhere, and there's so many conversations, there's so much noise, and especially in To Go Set A Watchman, Scout is trying to see through the noise, but it's very difficult for her. I will say that I enjoyed both of them, and I do think they'd be an incredible study to compare them. And I don't know if anybody who's studied To Kill a Mockingbird since Go Set A Watchman has come out, if they have done that comparison in studying it. Please let me know if you have studied both of these books, because I think that must have been fascinating. And if you did have to write an essay about it, please tell me what the subject of that essay was, because I'm completely fascinated at the comparison of these two books. I'm very much looking forward to the play, and I hope I get the chance to do a video about the play, because I think we've got it for a few weeks, maybe a month or so. Yeah, I think we have just announced the cast for it, so exciting things. I mean, one of the reviews for it has said, Go Set A Watchman is the more radical, ambitious and politicised of the two novels that Lee has now published. It has contemporary relevance where Mockingbird safely sealed off as a piece of American history. It does not undermine Mockingbird, but it makes a reassessment of that story absolutely necessary. I completely agree with that. Oh, that says it so much better than I did. It doesn't undermine Mockingbird, but it makes a reassessment of that story absolutely necessary. I think there's also the fact that with To Kill a Mockingbird, a lot of people look back on it now as being like the white saviour, which, is it possible that at that point Atticus was being a good man doing his job? Because that was his job, he was a lawyer, and he does his job to the best of his ability, and Scout being at the back of the courtroom watching her father work, I think is part of that influence over her of what she thought her father was. And then you see, like, was it just a job? I mean, he does have some very interesting monologues essentially in the first book. Yeah, it's interesting compared to like the first and the second book, because they're a whole essentially, because Go Set A Watchman was the original draft. That was what she started writing, Go Set A Watchman, and then through revisions and edits and things, it became To Kill a Mockingbird, which is why I was conflicted over wanting to do this as a series and no just as a regular video. But I just thought it makes more sense because I'm comparing essentially two different stories on different, well, it's kind of the same story, but on two different timelines in two different books. It just made more sense to do this as a series Sunday because of the comparison going on and the conflicts and stuff. I will say that in Go Set A Watchman, when I think of like the funny moments that happen, the one that really comes to mind is her remembering herself as a 14-year-old going to a school disco, and a school party, and when she tries on the dress that she wants to wear, she realises her body is very up and down. You know, she's not 100% with her body until she gets false boobs, as you do. And she goes to this party, and at some point in the night, after partying and dancing with a lot of people, she is outside with one of her friends, and he says, your boobs have migrated. Like, she's got like one here, she's got one under an armpit, and she's mortified. She's like, oh my god, how did nobody tell me? She's like, it might have only just happened because, you know, you've been dancing with the entirety of the football team at this point. I'm sure somebody would have noticed, or would have told you, would have found out about it. I'm pretty sure this has only just happened. And she's mortified, she doesn't want to go back into the dance, and the friend just goes, here, give me, and he gets the false boobs and he throws them out into the night, and she goes back in and she realises that nobody has paid any attention to her, nobody really noticed the fake boobs, and she carries on and enjoys her night. The next morning, the principal of the school does a full announcement saying, I need a letter finding out exactly what's happened here, and she's just like, what on earth is going on? And her school is taken outside to where there's a billboard that was put up by the principal. And it seems that in the night, when her friend threw her falsies out into the air, they landed on this billboard. And she's mortified. She's there going, I need to confess. And the boys are going, don't confess, because like all her friends know what happened at this point. And so eventually she like has this idea, and she's like, right, I need to do this. So she writes down what happened. She gives it to the head teacher, and he's getting really, really angry. She's like, why is he getting so angry? And she realises that every single girl in the school has written a letter to the principal saying, they look like mine. It's such, you know, it's not really that good to the story. It's just a memory that she has. But when I heard that, it was just like, this is hilarious. It was just a moment, a memory from her, which it was just so funny. It's very distinctive, that part of the story. But yeah, I haven't really said much about To Kill a Mockingbird, but I think it's because it is one that's, because of the accusations and the segregation, and I think I got on better with older Scout than I did younger Scout, probably because I am an adult, and so, you know, I haven't lived in the American South in the 30s, so it is harder to identify with somebody who you're not. And, you know, I was a kid once, and yes, I've had family members who have used interesting language, which I didn't agree with. Yeah, it's just seeing everything through the eyes of a child just makes things so much different. And, yeah, I just thought, as I was reading, I was thinking, there's a reason this is a classic. The fact that you really could put it in any time and could see it playing out. I wonder if there's ever actually been kind of like a modern adaptation of it, because I really feel like it is universal, the story, in a way, with her relationship with her father, her relationship with the woman who was looking after the kids after the mother passed away, and her looking up to her father in a way and idolising him. And then, obviously, in Set A Watchman, you see that memory of her father shattering. Yeah, it's so cool, so interesting, fascinating. As I said, if you studied this book, if you have done a comparison with Set A Watchman, I really would be so interested to know what the title of your essay was and what you thought about any comparisons between these two books. And was it as a shock to you, Atticus, in the original draft as it was to the version that came out? But yeah, I just found it all fascinating and a very good, and to be honest, these are books that I would proudly set on my shelves. It's such a shame that Harper Lee just never wrote anything else because of the attention that she got. It wasn't an attention she wanted, she just wanted to write. And I really wish that she could have just gone, she could have written more and just tried to stay out of the limelight. But it was obviously something that really affected her. And there was so much controversy over Set A Watchman coming out because she was elderly when it was released as a sequel, and there were concerns that she may have not actually given permission for it to be released. So yeah, there's a lot of question marks over that, but then there's also family members and friends that said no, she was still fully functioning of the faculties, and you know, she wanted to let this draft be released. The real question is, did she want it to be known as a sequel, or did she just prefer it to be known as the original draft of To Kill a Mockingbird? Either way, I think it's fascinating seeing the differences and knowing that Set A Watchman came first. But yeah, if you have any thoughts, if you have any opinions, I'd love to hear from them. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you next time with another video. I'm popping back to the flat today, and I am going to show my dad what